ladies and gentlemen, to our SIP series, Season 1, Episode 5, our final episode of this season. I'm Casey Steinbacher, CEO and founder of Casey's Company.
And I'm Jess Averhart, creator of Reinvention Roadmap.
And this young lady on a stick, Esther Campy, our partner in crime for our entire series, is once again here, unfortunately not in person. She is, as we said earlier, fighting the fight with COVID. But you got to see her live and in person, at least remotely live and in person at our last episode, and she was awesome as usual.
She was.
For those of you who are joining us for the first time or are rejoining us from previous episodes, we'll just reiterate the SIP series stands for Shelter in Place. We're all doing it, so we wanted to get together and really have the opportunity to spend some time with you because we were originally going to have a program called Finding Your Next that has been, like the rest of the world, postponed. It is postponed until September, and so what we've been able to do is give you a little sneak peek of what all that looks like. So while we're sheltering in place, we are also sipping, because that's what we really enjoy doing. And so thank you for joining us for our very last episode. So we gotta maybe recap
Do a little recap.
Bring it up to speed.
That's right.
Bring it up to speed, Jess. Where do we go with all this?
Yeah. Well, we talked about this particular episode being the new normal, right? How many times have we heard that terminology? New normal. Can't wait to get to the new normal, right?
Do we really want to get to that?
Yeah, and the more I hear it, the more Casey was listening to it, we're just like over it, right? Like, what does that even mean anyways? I mean, I think we all agree that this is different times, it's unique space, and we're gonna have to navigate everything differently, right? And so rather than calling it the new normal, what we have experienced throughout the SIP series is that, if you take the opportunity to go through this time and really lean into the space that you've been given, either through our series or just some quiet time that you've had to do some self-reflection, I think that we're probably poised as a country, communities, to go above and beyond, to sort of go to that next level.
Oh, let's hope.
Now, if you're doing next level thinking, with us or with others, if you're ready for something new, if you've done a little soul searching, which I've heard people use that term a lot too, then it's not about the new normal for you. You're probably not looking in your rearview mirror, you're looking ahead, and in order for you to be successful and do that well and actually accomplish these new goals for yourself, you're gonna have to answer a question. So we're gonna take new normal off the table.
Go on.
Okay? And we're going to ask this question now.
Ready?
Are you comfortable being uncommon?
Again.
Okay. Are you comfortable being uncommon? And that's the question, not the new normal. If you want to achieve the next level for yourself or take all of this and really reinvent yourself, frankly, then being uncommon is going to be your norm.
Right? Totally.
That's going to be your norm. And you have to be able to answer that question honestly and with some grit and straighten up your back and go into this next phase in a real way. So, Casey, you want to talk about, I think it'd be helpful for those who've been with us to be as a reminder and those who haven't to talk about a few ways and tips that we've already covered to get them ready for this.
Right. So let me recap to the point that Jess made. Through this series, we had three really important topics that we took a little bit of time to dive into. And the first one of those was Crucible Moments. Really thinking deeply about those moments in time in which really presented opportunities for us to maybe be uncommon, and we may have taken them or not taken them. As part of that whole conversation about Crucible Moments, the whole conversation about the lies we tell ourselves, how has that played into our willingness to be uncommon moving forward? And then we talked a little bit about, in order to continue on this path, you also have to make sure that all of this time you're surrounding yourself with the right tribe, the right support system that's helping you think through this journey. And then finally, we also had some incredible advice from Esther on personal branding about how we talk about ourselves and how we think about ourselves in an uncommon and different way. So all of those were really, really impactful, but we began it with the whole question around Crucible Moments. Remember that, Jess? You did that session. One of my favorites.
Yeah, so Crucible Moments, that's a foundational sort of conversation is the way I like to look at it. You have to build your foundation in order for you to recreate something new, right? It has to be solid and you have to know that it's firm. And so one of the exercises that I asked you to do was to think about your timeline, your sort of historic lived experience where you have accomplished a lot and you've changed for the better because of it. In some cases, maybe you didn't take the opportunity and the change wasn't as great. But either way, those moments, there were lessons and lies that you told yourself along the way.
Some lies good, some not so good.
Some not so good, right. But Crucible Moments are really important because they do, first of all, we've all had them, and they do tell a story. So understanding your patterns, the lies and the lessons along the way will set you up for the future. Will set you up for the next how many ever years, right? So two things that we asked at the end after you do your timeline was to name maybe some lies that you've told yourself along the way that could be roadblocks, and also to think about the lessons. And one of those lessons likely was, who am I bringing along into this next new version of me, right? So you may have changed 2 or 3 times over your lifetime. And each time, those tribe members look different based on the season of life that you're in. So, want to talk a little bit? That kind of leads us right into episode 3, which was all about your tribe.
Right, all about your tribe. And we have definitely determined in the programming that we do together how critically important that is, but how women and people really don't think very strategically about that tribe, right? The point that you just made, that there is changes in those tribes and they come in and out of your life because they're necessary for in and out of your life, but not leaving that to intention, but being very, not leaving that to happenstance, but be very intentional about curating who that is. And how we describe those circles of friends. Everyone, we talk about circles of friends, you've heard that, but it's not really about one big, large circle. It's about that dying, close-knit group around you, right? It's about that next level out, maybe not as close, but equally as impactful and important in many different ways, is your nickel circle. And then that larger group on the outside is your quarter circle. They are incredibly influential in your life and the relationships that you have that come in and out during these crucible moments, but having them and knowing them and being very understanding about how they fit in this journey is a really important part of the program. And we do that specifically while we end with the program. We do that in a way that we give you some examples of what that would look like. And one of the examples that we use is the example of doing something that actually created an opportunity for you to be sitting in jail, and how your circles would respond to that. Remember that, Jeff?
Yes.
And we asked the question, your dime circle would be sitting in that jail cell with you.
Yeah.
That's how you know that they're the closest to you, sitting in that cell. And think about that, who's sitting in that jail cell with you. And that really starts to say, okay, who am I? And when you're doing that question of who am I, you can't help but not have the topic of your own personal brand.
Yeah. So our last episode 4, was all about personal brand, and that's where our sweet Esther came in and laid the groundwork for how to do that. And she really set the stage for, listen, if you've done this work and you're ready for that next version of yourself, well, you better know how to market yourself, right? Like, how are you going to be uncommon and no one know who you are?
Exactly.
So she gave some great tips on how to do that and to do it well. And so she gave us this term to think about, which was GLE, G-L-E, which stands for gratitude, lucky, and excitement. And she was saying, listen, we're clear. Most people don't want to brag about themselves, right? But we all know that we have gifts and skills that are unique to us, that are special to who we are, and make us who we are, frankly, right? And she said, how do you pull those gifts and skills out and not feel like you're telling the world that you're amazing and you're awesome and you feel like you're bragging, but to tell the world you're amazing and you're awesome through this idea and sense of gratitude because you have those skills, and that you're lucky to be put in positions where you're able to serve others and to share those gifts with others. And I think that's a beautiful way to do it. You know, it's the same message, it's just done with much more of a outward reflection instead of it being all about you. So I love that she was able to bring that home for us, because it does prevent us oftentimes from being really exceptional with our personal brand.
Right.
We worry about it.
Right.
And this allows us to take the worry off the table and to do it from the advice of a skilled and global PR professional. So if she says do it, I'm all in. All right. So if you haven't done Glee, GLE, try that at home.
Right.
An example would be, I think she gave a great example, but for me it would be, I feel so lucky to be in the presence of incredible women like Casey and others, where I can support them and be supported around their reinvention journey, right? And so that kind of tells you what I'm about and what I like to do and who I like to be around when I'm exemplifying my own gifts and skills.
And my favorite part of that, to play right back into the theme that we began with, is when you feel good about that, right?
Yeah.
When you can feel good and you can share that and feel grateful and feel lucky and feel good, you're excited to be uncommon.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
You're really excited to be on. You go from comfortable with uncommon to excited
and
shining about being uncommon, and I love that. So that, ladies and gentlemen, really was the crux of the series that we had. If you register for our event, the Finding Your Next event, you are going to have the opportunity to come to Durham, North Carolina in September. You are going to get to participate in a phenomenal workshop program, and you're actually going to get to come to this location where you're seeing Jess and I sit right now. This is her loft in Durham. Mine is literally 4 feet across the hall. And we are going to host you one night during this workshop. Yeah. Come in, sit on these couches, have this very conversation directly with us as we host dinner for you and your tribe, your new tribe that you will get as other participants and other women in this program. So please, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of this video, you're going to see the promotional video for Finding Your Next this fall. We'd like you to watch that, and then immediately you'll see the registration link below. Click on that registration link and register, because it's limited seating. And it's selling, ladies. It's selling. So jump on, register now. We can't wait to see you here in Durham. And with that,
we'll see you in the fall.
Cheers.